People, let me tell you about my best friend. He's a warm-hearted nature, something. That's where I lost it. Hello and welcome to the next episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies. With special guest, Tim Davis. This is the podcast where all three of us went and saw a movie at our local Regal Cinema Theater. And now we're going to talk about it in Matt's Honda Pilot, right outside the theater, in the parking structure. We're going to talk about such things as, should you see this movie? Should you not see this movie? Should you bring a date? Can you bring a kid? Should you go by yourself? Do you need to pay attention? Can you slack off? Can you nap, craft, or eat? Or, can you do anything? Or do you just need to sit there and question your own existence? Sometimes it's a journey no matter what happens. I am Todd Domer.
And I'm Matt Moy, and I'm right here on a journey with you, Todd.
Yeah.
And Tim.
Yep.
We're here. We're journeying. We saw a movie. This movie, and I'm not really sure about how you say the name of this movie, but I'm going to say it's The Accountant 2.
Right.
However, the 2 is raised like
a square.
Like you're squaring
So
the
accountant.
Yes.
The accountant.
Yes.
Or the accountant squared. Or
Yes. To play into the theme. Yeah.
It's the second movie about the accountant. So we're going to talk all about that. But Tim, tell us who we might recognize, the day-to-day, the everyday, the well-known characters from this film.
The household names in this movie are the people who were in the first one, pretty much. We have our star, Ben Affleck, is back. He's ubiquitous at this point. He's the accountant again, our mysterious math wizard who has a side job, so to speak. And Jon Bernthal is back as his brother in this, obviously famously known from Walking Dead and the MCU Punisher. And then we also have J.K. Simmons returning from the first movie as a I would say more of a guest appearance. And not a household name, but she was in the first one. Cynthia Addai-Robinson returns as the basically the deputy director who becomes the director to help out.
Deputy Director Mary Beth.
Yes, Mary Beth Medina. Yeah. She's back as well.
A lot of M's.
Not a household name yet, but she was a prominent part of the first movie.
Sure.
And I'd say that's it for the recognizable name.
Okay. And how long have we been since the first movie?
I believe the first one was...
In movie, they'll say 8 years, but that's not true.
I believe, but I do think it's something like 6 or so. I'm going to look that up right now.
Or do you think it's shorter than that?
I think it's shorter than that.
It's before 2020.
That's correct. Hold on.
Well, as some close friends know about me, I'm really bad with... Typically, it comes with wrestling knowledge, where I think things that happened 20 years ago happened, yesterday. Maybe that's...
It actually is 8 years.
Is it
was
8 years?
2016.
Oh, my gosh.
2016 is when it came out.
Wow, okay.
It is. So, we took a little break in the accountant universe. But we're back.
Universe. I don't think we thought there'd be a universe.
And
I really thought it was like 4 years ago. Like, I was
maybe that's when you watched it.
Oh, man, okay.
I have to say, everybody looks pretty much the same after 8 years. But anyway,
except for Anna Kendrick, who's not in the movie.
No, she's not in this one.
She does not reprise her role.
Well, that's
one of the household names
first
not returning.
Yes.
But she got an ending.
It makes sense. Her character didn't need to come back.
Right.
Just in case you all were curious before we talk about the second one.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
So, what is The Accountant 2 squared, The Accountant all about? Well, it's about...
would the square go with the accountant, so it's the accountant, or would it just be accountant, like the accountant, or the accountant? If it's squared like that,
it kind of depends. But I think if we convert it over to numbers, I think it would just be like the would be a number and the accountant would be a number.
You know what? That's the appropriate way to
the
look at
accountant.
that.
Yeah. Accountant.
You're like 5 steps ahead of me with that. Okay, all right, fair enough. Well, we know who's got the big math brain in this car.
I'm a math. Okay.
You're a math.
So, I'm a Matthew.
Hey-o!
Well, what is The Accountant 2 all about? It's about our friend the accountant, played by Ben Affleck. His name is Christian Wolf in this movie. He gets called onto the scene when a prominent character from the previous film, I think his name is Ron King?
Yes.
Ron King?
Ray King.
Ray King. It is Ray. Ray
King. Who was
King.
the former head of the
former deputy director of blah, blah, blah.
The financial crimes.
Financial crimes, U.S. Treasury.
Yes, someone important.
It's a name that does not flow. It's like, I'm deputy director, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, that That sounds horrible.
Anyway,
Basically,
an important government official.
The people in the government who are investigating financial crimes like money laundering and so forth.
Yes.
So anyway, he's retired. He's out doing his own thing, but he kind of investigates cases still on a kind of a case by case basis, if you will.
Gets a little too close.
And he gets a little too close to the fire and ends up dead. And so
That's in the trailer.
I'd argue that's not a spoiler.
Yeah. No, I'm just putting that out there.
It
Right?
is the
If
plot-
someone's thinking
supreme-
to themselves, "Oh, come on, what about spoilers?" That's in
Supreme
the
plot
trailer.
point.
Yeah, it's
Supreme
in the trailer.
early on this happens. So so his kind of protege, Mary Beth Medina, the new deputy director of the U.S. Treasury Financial Crimes Unit, gets called because apparently he's got her in his phone as in case of emergency call. She gets involved with the whole case and finds out that she needs help, and she reaches out through all ways that she knows to contact the accountant and gets him involved, and he's on the case because he worked with Ray King for years and years, giving him tips.
As we've learned, if someone close to him is affected, he springs into action.
Yes. So what we do in this film is unravel what happened to Ray King, why was he murdered, what was the case that he's working on, and he was basically trying to find what happened to this family. And basically he's got a picture of them, he's got a whole bunch of data and stuff that he's taped up on his wall in his house, and he was trying to figure that out before he gets killed. So the accountant gets involved, Mary Beth Medina is involved, and Jon Bernthal's character, whose name is something weird, Braxton, yes, who is the accountant's brother. He comes in to help. He's a killer, just like the accountant is a killer banker. He's just a killer.
He's just a regular assassin.
Yeah,
not an accountant assassin.
No.
Right.
Does not have the same ticks. He's got his own.
So yeah, so they basically, the movie is about them trying to solve this case and figure out what happened to everyone who's in this picture. And there's some twists and turns that I'm not going to reveal, but basically they got to find a dad, a mom, and a kid. And through the course of this movie, we find out what happened to all three of them.
Yes.
And yeah, so that's what I'm going to say about that. Todd, what would your calculations be about the accountant too?
You're on fire tonight.
Yeah.
You brought it tonight.
Yeah.
Were you sitting at the kitchen table like right during dinner and you're like, I got it.
What are all my math?
I have got
puns.
to bring it tonight. You know what? I like this movie, which is kind of refreshing. I don't know the last time we had two movies in a row where I was like, hey, I like that. I did like the first one, and I think the best thing the first one had going for it was that it was under the radar, and it was, I think people just were like, at least my experience was, I'm going to watch this, whatever, I don't expect anything, and then I was like, hey, you know what? Yeah. I like this. I will say, I think it gets, let's just say, I don't know about questionable, but let's just say I wrestle around with the idea of an actor who plays someone with autism or something when we have people who can play that. But I also I don't know, representation matters almost how I would argue no matter how you get there, kind of
Yeah, no, I get it.
So I think I like the representation in this movie. This movie goes out of its way to say, people with autism, wherever they are on the spectrum or whatever, can absolutely live meaningful lives, as they perceive and can do that. And I like that aspect of this. I think that's a very interesting aspect. In this movie delves deeper into that kind of, his neuroscience
academy.
Yeah, non-profit kind of thing that he supports, and you kind of find out in the first movie that his kind of partner, who you don't see through the entire movie, just talks through phone, is a person from the academy. That's his academy that he set up. and that's the partner. That's the computer partner. I thought expanding on that in this movie was a very good thing to do. Like, I enjoyed all those scenes. I enjoyed the representation. I enjoyed the message of those scenes. I thought, and they were good. Like, so I was like, now in all that, I don't know of all the actors if anyone actually has autism. I mean, I know that that's a hot button type of thing of being like, well, you know, where's the line drawn between acting and whether or not we could have found someone who is actually affected by this kind of what's going on. I don't know. Those are above my pay grade. When I come to the movie, I think this movie delivered on what I expected it to deliver. I thought it was a smart sequel in the sense that it turned into a buddy cop thing. Yeah. Like, instead of just a dry... The first one was very dry, yes. And there was some Ben Affleck, Anna Kendrick chemistry there. Like, they played on that a little bit, but they really hammered it home with the brothers aspect. Like, and seeing almost two sides of the same coin. One brother who, you know, is Ben Affleck and has his situation, and the other brother trying to figure that out. Like, and trying to... And it's funny that the other brother is like a macho masculine, kind of like, he's trying to find out this kind of stuff, but he can't get out of his own way because he's a macho kind of guy. Like, I just thought all that was very interesting. It could have been a run-of-the-mill sequel. It could have been like a cash grab and let's just make something. But I thought they put the time and the work into this. Like, and that's, you're going to get appreciation from me for that. Like, you know, as far as like whether or not people, well, let me go back. I thought the acting was very good. I thought Ben Affleck and Jon Bernthal had a chemistry that I did not see coming. Like, I did not think it was going to be as entertaining as it was, but it was entertaining. Like, so kudos to them. Really, the only weak spot I thought in this movie is the woman who plays Mary Beth. Like, there were some scenes where I was like, I don't know about this. Like, I might have ordered another take, but, you know, to each their own. So, I'm going to say see this movie. There's no reason for me to say don't see it unless you want to go see a movie where you can bring your kids to. I wouldn't suggest bringing your kids to this one. There are some deaths, and there are some extreme themes of a lot of kids kind of in danger, and that always makes me feel a little weird when we kind of use that as a way to like really grip in the audience. I'm like, that's a manipulation to me that, like, it's hard sometimes. I thought they did okay with it. I still don't know if I would have gone that hard in the storyline, but, you know, I'm going to say if you've seen this movie and you enjoyed the first one, then absolutely go see the sequel, because I do think it's good. I don't know if I'd say it's better than the first one, but I think they're both good movies on their own merits. And, you know, can you bring a date? Sure, if you're into that sort of thing. But I'd say if you want to go see this movie, go see it. Go see it in theaters. Why not? You should see it in theaters. But that's going to be me. I liked it. I support it. I say go see it. I can't really think of... I mean, while I don't think it's the best movie ever made, there are no super glaring bad things to me. Besides, I thought the woman who played Mary Beth performances here and there. Yeah, I mean, I would say some scenes may have drawn out a little bit. There is a line dancing scene that, like, is funny, but, like, it went on for a while. And I was like, I don't know, you probably let this simmer for too long. Like, but I don't know, it was still entertaining. I just think they should have punched the ticket a little earlier. So, but that's me. I liked it. Go see it. No real reason not to unless these movies aren't your thing, then I totally understand that. But if you're looking for a nice movie to go see and at least want to be entertained and enjoy some action and stuff like that, then great. You know, I say go see it. Kim?
Yes, I think I'm pretty much in line with you, Todd. I only recently saw the first one. I had the same feelings on it. It was never high on my list to see, and you know, but there had been some buzz about it, and I remember thinking, oh, okay, whatever, and then maybe I'll catch it one day. And then when the sequel was coming out, I was like, well, time to catch up. And like you, I was pleasantly surprised by the first one. It's you know, it moves along. It's, you know, it shows, like, you know, interesting depth. There's the, you know, the action side of it, but there's also plenty of character study, which I think helps make the movie work, because you need the character study stuff to get to the action scenes that are so, you know, integral to the plot and all that. And the dynamics between people is a very interesting thing in the first movie. And you're right, this movie managed to be different while still an accountant movie. And I think that was, like you said, a good choice. It wasn't trying to repeat beats. It was like, all right, let's go back to these characters and see where they're at now, and let's explore the dynamics more, because the first movie, not to get into too many spoilers, but like the first movie, the brothers are very much apart for most of it. So this movie is like, well, let's have them be together this time. And like you said, it becomes more of a buddy cop movie, which could have been formulaic. They could have really gone easy, but they didn't. And they thought, they added the emotional depth to it. And I, like you said, both actors I thought really did play off each other really well with the way their characters are. And I think, it's funny, Ben Affleck can go from really good to really bad in certain movies. We've seen that over the years. But this character actually really works for him.
I think
his acting style.
What it is for Ben Affleck is that I don't think he needs to not be the super expressive person.
Yes.
He needs to be
Correct.
the more kind of like honed in, down to earth. I think most movies where you're like, come on, Ben. It's just he is throwing it out there and you're like, that's not your
And I think he plays off of people well as well.
Yeah.
And I think Bernthal's a good balance to him, because Bernthal tends to fall into the trap of same characters a lot.
Oh, for sure.
And while this one has hints of that, I did think he was trying to add more depth to his type of role.
There are certainly some scenes where I'm like, okay, like it wasn't an action scene, and you weren't grunting, and you weren't angry, and so I was like, you were doing some acting, great. Like, not to say that's not acting, but
I know what you mean.
Kind of all he does. Sorry, I'm super happy that he does not. One of the things that when he came onto the scene in The Walking Dead that drove me nuts, and I think I've talked about this podcast before, is that he could not deliver a line without rubbing his head.
Yes.
Like, it was his thing. It's just every time a scene got serious, it'd be like rubbing, and finally after like that show and maybe 5 movies, we finally gotten to the point where that doesn't happen.
Yes. No.
So bravo, John, if you're listening to this and you want to, come on the podcast and talk about your method acting. You've gotten better. We all think, I'll speak for everyone here. We all think you've gotten better.
Todd,
do think so.
I have to say I'm watching through The Walking Dead right now for the first time.
Oh, yes.
He hasn't come on the scene yet.
I'll wait
but
till
when he does, I'm going to be just watching him rub his head the whole time. I'm gonna be like,
I think it's season 3 when he shaves his head. It gets even worse. And you're like, woo! You really like to rub the old noggin.
Yeah.
But
Sorry, Tim.
Yeah, that's
Go
okay.
ahead.
No, those are good points to bring up, because I think, like you said, going back to what I said, it felt different in a good way, where the humor was more not like comedy, but like character comedy, like situational comedy, and not in a ha-ha kind of way, but like the way things are reacting, the way things are playing off each other. There were some fun scenes, like there was a speed dating scene early on that was actually really fun. I thought that was really a fun little thing that was very character-centric to Ben Affleck's character, and it was really like a funny breakdown of how he would go in that situation. Did the movie need that scene? No, but it was a reward if you liked his character and some of the things when he was put into regular situations. And I thought that was a nice little touch. The line dancing, I agree, went on too long, and I thought that, and they were obviously playing into the whole, like, he sees the line dance as, oh, that's a math thing. I can follow that and catch on to that.
Patterns.
And I thought that was a nice way for his character to loosen up a little bit, because as you said, he's very similar, straight arrow and focused. And so I think they were trying to loosen up his character a little more, and I think that also invited the audience in more. Because I noticed there was a lot of laughter in our theater. And for earned organic lines and reactions, I thought, for the most part.
There's a lot of talking in our theater.
There was some talking too, I agree.
Of talking.
But the laughing was, I think, earned from good chemistry and good, good
Absolutely.
lines.
Yeah.
And,
Something's funny, laugh at it. Totally.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I don't support your commentary.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But I'm just saying, like, as I would not have said there was a lot of comedy and funny line or earned organic lines in the first movie, because that really wasn't the tone of that first movie. So I think, to be able to work that in and not become a parody or become, go too far in that end, I thought also showed some style in the writing and the way that they framed some scenes. So again, I agree with you. In fact, the only critique I have of this movie is I thought the action scenes were just kind of there. There was nothing special about them, and they're kind of almost go through the motions action scenes, where there really wasn't even that much of the character stuff that you wanted. That it was just shooting bad guys. And I know there's some people who just, that's all they want from these movies, but I thought those were the least compelling scenes in this movie. And it was all the character stuff that really drove it. So it's not a knock, but I'd say it knocks it down a little more than the first one. But it's still a good movie. I recommend seeing it. Definitely, if you've seen the first one, you'll really enjoy it. I would definitely recommend seeing the first one. Don't see this one blind, because there's a lot of, you want to understand the dynamics and the relationships and all that.
Well, the entire speed dating scene,
yes,
the only purpose of that scene is to introduce the character.
Yes, that is true.
You learn almost everything you need to know.
Yes.
Through the speed dating scene.
Right, but I thought
why I think that exists.
Right. But I even think if you have seen the first one, you still enjoy it because it's like, oh, that's cute. That's exactly what he would do.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's just an introduction to the character
Right,
for people who didn't see the first one. Which is smart.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. It was, like I said, it was a clever way to do it that wasn't just, here's our guy and here's what you missed. But, like last week on The Accountant. So, anyway, overall, I agree. Good movie. Worth seeing. I would not mind a third movie. Matt?
The Accountant Cubed?
Yes.
I think they're already greenlit a third movie.
Okay, cool.
But it's coming out in 8 years, and everyone's going to be...
at that point.
Gotta wait again. Whew. All right.
Matthew?
So I don't have a lot to add to what you guys have said. You really covered what my thoughts on the movie are really in line. I think that if you're going to make a movie about an autistic assassin, accountant, banker person... the first one was good, and so was the second one. And I think, it hits the notes that it needs to. It took what it needed to take from the first film. Agree, this was a slightly different film, but the goodness of our main characters' quirks, tics, abilities on full display as they should be, and you get that in number 2 here too. So, happy about that. I thought that the movie itself, the story was interesting, and like I didn't necessarily see. There's one big turn that I didn't see coming.
I agree. That also, I should have seen it coming, but I didn't. And so when it was revealed, I went, "Oh,
yeah,
okay, cool." It rewards the viewer. I thought it was like,
that was a nice
Yes.
Hey, see how we did that in the first one? Here's a second one for you.
Yeah, correct.
Right.
Yes.
And it's almost not like a super twisty turn. It's almost just like a conversion of stories that you just never thought.
Yes,
were
you
going
wouldn't
to
have put together.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I
Yep.
like that a lot.
So that was fun. I thought the pacing was pretty good throughout. Line dancing scene a little bit too long. I thought some of the early kind of shoot 'em up scenes were a little bit chaotic. I tend not to like. Rather know and see what's going on a little bit better. But those are minor quirks of the movie and minor negatives for me. I think everybody did a good job with their acting roles. No head rubbing from Jon Bernthal, so what else can we say about it? I like this movie a lot, just as I like the first one. I do agree that you should watch the first one. It's on streaming. I forget what service it's on.
Yeah,
but
I think it's Prime.
I believe it's on Max and Prime.
Never mind.
Okay.
It's on both, I believe.
Oh, okay. Well,
because Amazon put this one out.
Got it. So I liked it a lot, and that is what I have to say about that.
Nice. Well, getting down to it, how many
sets of jacks?
Sushi grade tunas would you give this movie?
Okay.
Which only comes into play very small, and
Yes,
it has
it does.
nothing to do with the movie.
No, but
for some reason I enjoyed the argument whether or not this was sushi grade tuna or not.
Yeah.
0 being the worst because then you got no sushi grade tuna, and then 5 being the best because then you got 5 of them, and gosh darn it, those things go for a lot of money right now. So if you had 5 sushi grade tunas, you are raking it in.
Raking it.
Matt?
Well, like I said, I like this one a lot. There weren't a lot of negatives. My experience was good, despite people talking too much in the theater. I'm going to go with 3.7 sushi grade tunas out of 5.
Nice. Tim?
Yeah, while I have no skin in the sushi game, as I'm not a sushi fan, like you said, I like this movie a lot. I would have probably have given the first one like a 3.9, and I think I give this one a 3.7.
Fair. I don't think there's any surprise here. We all 3 liked it. I do like. I think that there's a cleverness to this movie that I really enjoy.
That's a good word.
And
sharpness too.
Yeah, it could have just like thinking about. Well, because at the heart of this movie, you're getting the same story we've gotten for the past 20 years, like of people who work outside the system and all that kind of stuff, like your beekeepers,
equalizers,
and so like I think that instead of this just turning into a who cares sequel of just like let's have Jason Statham fight people for an hour and 45 minutes, which is fine, and I like that. There's a place in the world for that. I like that this kind of, stands on the story, doesn't stand on the action. Like I do agree with you that I think some of the action could have been better. Some of it, I agree, felt like paint by numbers at times. So I'm gonna land. I'm gonna land on a 3.9.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, liked it. Go see it. It felt weird this time that it wasn't weird, but I think. Maybe to cover that Ben Affleck's not the youngest person anymore. It felt like Jon Bernthal was carrying the action load.
I think that's
once kind of he showed up on the scene, and that might have been a smart play. Like, because nothing bothers me more when you see the actor who just can't do it. Like, that bothers me. You're selling movies on the action scenes, and if the actor can't do it, stop putting him in those movies.
Agreed.
So, that's me.
Yeah. Well, we better get the accountant cubed.
Yeah.
Right quick
later.
here
Pretty
before
soon later.
Ben Affleck retires. Okay. Last thoughts before we roll out here?
We're good.
I'm looking forward to a third one.
Yeah, I would take a third one.
Sure.
Now, what if the third one is that there's an evil organization that also uses special needs people?
But for evil reasons.
But for evil reasons.
Ooh. I dig it.
Yeah. That'd be interesting.
Because again, they'd be the central point.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, something to think about, producers of the Accountant universe. If you're listening to this podcast, which
there's
I'm sure you are.
absolutely no telling whether or not I would love that story or not, because it does fall into the trap of another secret organization that people don't know about, which is also my thing that I don't like. So I don't know. But they're always like it's always an evil organization of evil people. Like,
well,
what if it's not? Like,
it could be an evil organization that we do know about, but we didn't know is evil. Like, what if it was the FBI? But the FBI was run by Nazis for some reason.
Sure, you're selling me on a movie right now. Yeah.
The Accountant 3.
The Accountant 3.
FBI is Nazis.
The Nazi regime. The Accountant 3, the Third Reich.
Oh my God! Yes.
It writes itself.
It writes itself. All right. Well,
Ben, are you listening to this?
On that note, MGM, you've got money on it sitting there.
Yes. Well, before we get into too much trouble here, let's wrap up this episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies, where we watch The Accountant Squared, The Accountants, or The Accountant 2, however you want to say it, however you want to think about it. I think you're all right. Everybody's right.
I think everyone's wrong.
There's
no way to pronounce this. It's impossible.
So we liked this movie. We saw The Accountant 2 Squared, whatever, and we gave it an average rating of 3.7 and a third sushi grade tunas out of 5. That's our highest rating in quite a while.
Yeah.
And we would say go see it, and we would also say please and thank you for listening to our podcast, and please keep doing that and subscribe and like it and send us Facebook messages or texts or whatever you want to do. We'll take all feedback. Thank you to Todd's parents for giving us some great feedback.
Loyal listeners.
Yes, loyal listeners. And we will see you next time.
Da 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 da
Da da
da da da.
da da da.